All right, thank you everybody for joining. This is Heather Longoria, and I am hosting this video or audio series called I Am a New Therapist because I graduated from manual therapy school in February of this year and realized that as I began my practice that I had quite a few questions, and I figured that I was probably not the only new therapist who was wondering many of the things that I was wondering. So fortunately, I have an amazing network of former teachers and current teachers and friends who are in the industry and that are willing to talk to me and share their wisdom and expertise. So tonight I am talking to Alta Schwab, who is a former student, or I should say a graduate of Center for Neurosomatic Studies as well. So I think she graduated a couple of years ahead of me, and then she was also one of my teachers at the school and one of my supervisors for student clinic. And she also worked at the St. John Clark Pain Treatment Center where I work now, and has always been a bit of an idol for me because she just has this tremendous memory and insight of the human body. And also Alta moved back, she's from Iowa originally and moved back to Iowa, which is where I am also from. So I asked her to join us tonight because I wanted to see how the transition back to Iowa went, since there is previously no neurosomatic therapist in Iowa. And so, and also I just wanted to catch up with her. So Alta, anything that you want to say about your background, or did I get all my dates and everything right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I feel like you started either 1 or 2 semesters after I graduated, that you weren't in my first class perhaps, but so I think that's about right.
Okay.
And I've been officially practicing. I just came across my 3-year anniversary since I got my official license.
Oh, congratulations.
So been officially practicing for 3 years and have been teaching for, well, I think essentially that would make it, I started teaching in October, November, right after I got my license in September, so almost as long.
All right, awesome. All right, well, tell me about your transition back to Iowa, and if you, like, how you set up your practice there, how you found a place to practice, and how's it going?
Well, it actually really all just kind of fell into my lap. I stayed in Florida just to kind of continue working with Randy, Kevin, and Paul, just to kind of get a better handle on. I didn't feel like, when I graduated, I felt like I knew what I was doing, but I felt like there was so much more I could do. So I stayed there basically until I really felt comfortable with the idea of getting everything off the ground on my own. And I came home and I actually got really sick for a little while. Mm-hmm. I have chronic Lyme disease, and I had a little bit of a Lyme flare and just got really sick for a while. So after that, my aunt, who goes to, everybody in my family has went to the same chiropractor for like a decade now. So my aunt went to see that chiropractor, and she mentioned to him that I was there and what I was doing and that I was home now. And he goes, well, why don't you have her come in and talk to me? I have an extra room that I might want to rent to her. So I went in and I talked with this chiropractor who, as I said, I've been seeing since I was a child, so he's known me for years. And he basically goes, wow, this is really awesome what you're doing. There's a lot of my patients who could really get benefit from this. I have this room here. Do you want to rent it? And then he's pretty much handed me a client base.
Wow, that's awesome.
So it was just having a really good relationship with one healthcare practitioner. I see an average, I've been practicing for like 3 months now, and I see an average of probably 10 to 15 patients a week.
That is awesome. So that's really cool that a chiropractor wanted to work in conjunction with you. So he doesn't see like...
Well, and he actually comes to see me twice a week.
Oh, that's awesome.
We do a trade twice a week, every week.
And do you guys?
He really thinks it helps a lot, and he's been in rough shape, and has basically said that now, since working with me, since getting an ST, he's really finally starting to make some real progress.
Man, that's amazing. Do you guys work on patients together, like consult with what you think is going on and like kind of coordinate treatments between each other at all?
We do talk, we do conference over some patients. We don't exactly coordinate treatments, but we will talk about how our progress is going with that patient and kind of exchange what we found. But we both pretty much do our own thing and don't really coordinate. We just try to keep each other up to date on shared patients. You know, I've sent him a couple who have come to me because they just really needed something done that I couldn't do. And then he sent me a whole bunch of people.
So what would be something that you would send to him?
Well, I had this patient who, after I had her x-ray, I was looking at her lateral view of her pelvis and low back, and I saw that her tailbone was tilted at like a 90-degree angle.
Oh, dang.
Anteriorly. And obviously that is not something I can deal with.
Right, out of our scope.
So I was like, so is this something that you have, you know, that you have the ability to deal with? And he goes, well, I've done some, so, you know, I can work with her and see what I can do. So I referred her, and then I referred one other person because initially the way that I had it set up, I'm doing x-rays with this chiropractor for leg length.
Oh, nice.
And it's in-house. So when we first set it up, they had to see the chiropractor to get an x-ray if they wanted it covered by their insurance. Now we have it set up that they'll just take my referral.
Oh, that's awesome. So and that raises a question. Since you work in the chiropractor's office, can he bill your services under insurance, or are you still just a cash-based practice?
I'm still a cash-based practice. I am subcontracting. I'm not actually associated with him in any way.
Okay.
I'm just renting a space in his office. And the payback for manual therapy under insurance, the maximum they'll give you back is about $45, and that's the absolute max.
Oh,
and that's like half my fee.
Yeah.
So it's not worth it, because even if I charge the insurance a whole lot more in an effort to try to get our fee, they won't give me more than half.
Oh, I see.
So I'll give them the CPT codes and have them get a diagnosis code from either the chiropractor upstairs, which some insurances will take and some won't, or another healthcare provider. And then some people have had some luck getting reimbursed.
Okay.
At least partly.
So if you don't mind discussing finances, so you're charging like around $90 for an hour session?
I'm charging $90 for a regular session, for an hour-long regular session. And I charge $105 for a 75-minute initial appointment.
Okay. And have you had any like resistance to that fee, or does it seem to go over okay in Iowa?
I only had one person give me a lot of resistance, and they didn't end up even staying. And it wasn't really over the fee so much as it was my cancellation policy, actually. So no, I haven't had a lot of resistance. I have had some people who say, I can't come see you as much as I want because it's too high, but you're worth it. And I don't cheapen you by asking you to lower your price or anything like that. I don't think the price is too high, but it is high, and I just can't afford to come as often as I would like to.
Yeah.
So I actually just launched a couple of my packages this week, and had one person already buy one. So
nice. What are you doing for packages?
So I'm doing, I don't remember exactly what I call them, but I think I have like a 4 package. I call it a getting started package or something like that, because I think that as a rule, 4 is the minimum number of treatments somebody should really give NST to see if it's going to be working for them. A lot of times people stop at 2, or they'll stop at 3, and they won't quite make it to the threshold of 4.
Yeah.
And 4 is when we oftentimes really start to see a change, even if it's not a huge change. It's oftentimes around 4, and that's the change that the patient's like, okay, this is worth continuing with. And then I have a package of 8. I don't remember what I called that one, that I have people try to use within 6 weeks. So that's basically trying to get them to come in twice a week in the beginning, a couple of times. And I feel like that's the most accelerated progress. And usually after 8, the initial pathology that they've come in with is either greatly reduced or gone.
Yeah. Wow.
Um, and so that's actually the package that I've already had somebody go through, and the problem that she came in with is totally gone. And then I have a 12 that I want them to use in about 4 months, that I think 3 to 4 months. I want them to try to come in once a week or once every other week with that package. I put a time limit on it so that they're getting the most benefit from it. And so that doesn't give me banking issues.
Oh, yeah.
Because I want to make sure that I'm not spending money that I haven't actually put the service towards. And then down the way, after I've already spent the money, come across and realize, okay, I'm treating this patient, but I already spent her money, so I don't get that income this week. And, so until I feel more comfortable with some of the money management issues, I kind of want to just keep a cap on it. In addition to the fact that I'm trying to get people the most benefit from NST.
Right.
So, and with each package, as they get more sessions, the price goes down a little bit.
Okay. So how are you keeping track of that? Like, are you using some sort of mind body app, or how do you keep track of your appointments and billing and stuff like that?
I'm actually using Massage Book, and it's working for me great.
Really? And that's a free software, right? Oh, okay.
I'm using the paid one. So it's about $30 a month, which I compared a lot of softwares. I compared a lot of different booking apps and things like that. And I tried to keep myself in the $30 range because I was just getting off the ground. I'd love to use my body because I was used to it, and it has a lot of intuitive things. But Massage Book, actually, when you use the professional one, has a lot of features that are really, really nice. It's a very intuitive program, and I had already had a little bit of experience with it. And I did the trial runs on a couple other programs, and I just did not like them. They just were not working for me. I can color code the different types of sessions so that I know who's coming in for what. So it's like, okay, this person is coming in for holistic methylation. This person is coming in for NST. This person is an initial. This person booked me for 2 hours. This person, or I don't ever do 2 hours. I do hour and a half for people who really, really need them. So it's like they're different colors.
And do you process
for different types?
Oh, go ahead.
No, just for different types is all.
Okay. Do you process credit card transactions through there too?
I did. I started using Square. So
Okay.
I got the free chip thing, not chip things, free swipe thing. So I had to process it on my phone.
Okay.
I didn't do that right away, but I do have a sign up that says, if you're going to use a credit card, there's an additional 3% fee, because that's what they charge me.
Okay.
And I don't have enough patients coming in yet to eat that credit card fee every time. So I may come to that point eventually where I don't worry about it, and that's why I don't keep it on file, because keeping it on file, while you can charge somebody if they don't show up, it's more to run it on file than it is to actually swipe the card.
I see. And how do patients book with you? Can they do it online, or do they call you or text you?
Most of my patients call or text me or email me. But there is online booking through Massage Book. I just have it set so that an initial appointment has to call or email with me, because I always want to make sure that they know what they're getting into, because I never want somebody coming to me and being mistaken as far as what kind of treatment it is, what to expect. I want to make sure that they're prepared for, there may not be a whole lot of hands-on in the first one. They're prepared for the paperwork. Oh, and another thing about Massage Book is I can send them the paperwork, and I was able to customize it to the point where it's exactly the kind of paperwork that I would hand them in person.
Oh, nice.
They can fill it out online, and it shows up in their profile. Like it's not something I have to dig out from another thing. It actually shows up in their profile.
Yeah,
and very easy to print. So I really, for right now, Massage Book is actually just right for me. And while I don't love the association of, being a massage therapist, because I think that what we do is so much more than that. Nobody really seems to mind. And actually what we're actually sorted under is just as a body worker, not as a massage therapist. So,
well, and that leads into one question I wanted to ask you is, neurosomatic therapy is it's not well known in Iowa at all. So how do you explain to people what it is that you do and how it differs from like massage or chiropractic care?
Well, I basically explain it as a combination between massage therapy, physical therapy, and chiropractic.
Okay.
Tell them basically, I'm dealing with your alignment in the same way a chiropractor would, except I'm dealing with it from a muscle perspective instead of a bony perspective. I'm
Okay.
dealing with what moves the bones out of place instead of the bones that are just out of place. So I'm dealing with the force, not just the result.
Okay.
And chiropractors don't really see it that way, which is fine, but most people seem to resonate pretty well with that explanation.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
And
like
then
if
I'll
it's,
put in, it's like, and then once we get you in line, then we'll stabilize you with strength training, whatever strength training or exercise you need to keep you there.
okay. And are you a personal trainer? Have you got that certification?
I bought the test. I have not taken it yet, so it's not official. So I don't do a whole lot of exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Just some of the Schwab stuff that I picked up and some of the melt stuff that I picked up and stuff. So I'm not really doing a lot of training or exercise stuff, just mostly trying to teach people the foam rolling and the stretches and the exercises and joint mobilizations that are within our scope.
Okay.
And I did buy through, I think it's expert rating or expertise, or I don't remember what it was exactly. There's like a $67 personal training test and training that you can buy.
So you're not doing the NASM one?
No, I don't care enough about the NASM name.
Yeah.
I just
For the
want to be able to do what I want to do. Yeah, I don't. I also don't want people coming to me just for personal training either. So I don't want to be listed on some site as a NASM certified.
Well,
I've other things I'd rather spend my money on.
have you encountered any like changes? How does the scope of massage therapists in Iowa differ from the scope of what it is in Florida?
Basically, it says that we can do anything with muscle and connective tissue. It doesn't make any exclusions except working on bones.
Okay.
But we're able to do joint mobilizations.
Mm-hmm.
So it's much less restrictive than the one in Florida. It doesn't exclude orifices. It doesn't exclude anything like that. So going in and doing the TMJ work and the nasal work and stuff like that is not even a consideration. And even the bony stuff that we do, like the atlas work and the cranial work, is nothing but joint mobilization because it's not fast.
Oh, that's
so
good.
Basically, I think that they were excluding you don't need to be doing any chiropractic work or joint cracking or bone cracking or anything like that. Yeah. But we are able to do joint mobilization, so that's included. So any soft tissue is fair game.
Nice. And did you have any issues getting your license in Iowa? And are you licensed in both Florida and Iowa, or did you transfer your license?
I was licensed in Florida and Iowa until my Florida one expired this August.
Okay.
And I contemplated keeping it, but I found out that it's not too big of a deal to get it back. I just pay the licensing fee that everybody else pays when they're renewing.
Oh, okay.
I don't have to retake any tests, and I might have to I just have to make sure, the same way as it is with renewing, that I'm up to date on my CEUs and the Florida law, the ethics, and the medical errors, and pay the licensing fee, and then I can have no problem getting it back. So okay. I let it go because, like I said, I have my eyes on a lot of trainings right now, and I just I didn't want to spend money where I didn't need to. Yeah. But it was no problem getting it transferred. What I had to do, the biggest problem I had was getting my MBLEX results. They don't take it. You have to actually get a hold of your MBLEX results, which was a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
And they don't take into account, it's like, in order for me to get licensed in Florida, I had to pass my MBLEX. So you don't actually transfer your license. You have to give them your MBLEX results, and it has to be sent directly from MBLEX. Like, it can't go through you. You have to have your massage school transcripts, and you have to pay the fee, and you have to, there was a third thing. What was it? MBLEX results, school results. And for transferring when you were already licensed, they just wanted a copy of your licensing information from Florida that had to go from the Florida Massage Board.
Oh, okay.
So it was three separate things. So I think that was it.
Okay.
I could be wrong. It's been a few months and I don't remember what the third thing was, because that was the thing that didn't give me any problems. But
And how long did it take you to get your license in Iowa?
once I finally got all my paperwork in, it took like 2 weeks.
Okay.
It was very quick. It took me longer than it should have to get my paperwork in, but
Okay.
that was because I was trying to figure out the Emblex thing. And it turns out there's a form that you can find on the Florida, on the site where you check out all of your licensing things, but I don't remember exactly what it is, and I don't remember where to find it. It was hard. I talked on the phone with somebody at Emblex. I talked on the phone with a couple different people at the Florida licensing place, that it was a pain. So that was the hardest part, was getting my Emblex scores, finding the right person to get my Emblex scores. I even contacted the testing center. So yeah, it was an adventure.
Yeah, it's so surprising too, since it's a national test now. You'd think that all the states would just have access to it.
You would think.
So one other question I had about Iowa is, so that's awesome that your chiro will do the x-rays, and I assume he's following like the Travell Protocol.
Actually, at this moment, I'm setting them up.
Oh, okay.
I'm actually getting them set up, and then his person in the office who is set up or who's trained to actually take them is hitting the button.
Oh, okay.
And I'm training her, but she's just not real comfortable with it yet, and she's not seeing the things that I need her to see. Mm-hmm. So at this moment, we have to have it set up so that either me and this chiropractor has 2 other chiropractors working as employees for him in his office, and the chiropractor that I actually share the basement space with is doing radiology reports for me, is reviewing my x-rays.
Oh, and, awesome.
Either he or the office manager are the ones who will take them. So I have to make sure that between me and the patient and one of those 2 other people. So at this moment, it's not ideal because 3 of us have to kind of sync our schedules. But until I'm comfortable that this person and she's comfortable that they know what they're doing, I'm setting them up. Like I said, it's in-house. Their setup is perfect. The chiropractor got in there with me, and he took a tape measure and we took a level, and we did all the stuff that you're supposed to do in the Travell book, and it's a perfect space.
Oh, that's awesome. And
it worked out like I could not have worked this out if I tried.
Thank you, universe, huh?
Yes.
Have you found a cobbler? Do you work with a cobbler to get the shoe lifts done?
I actually did. It's about an hour and a half away though, which is pretty normal for people in Iowa. They don't really think a whole lot about it, and he will ship back and forth. Mm-hmm. I found him this month. There used to be one about a half an hour away from here, but he retired. And so I called one of the branches of the shoe store that he used to work with and asked them if they knew anybody, and they referred me to someone in Cedar Rapids.
Oh, okay, cool.
His name is Bill Arnold.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, and I only wanted to take up about half an hour of your time, so I'm scanning through my list to see what else was on here. Oh, that's okay. So the office that you work out of, do you pay like a monthly room rental fee, or do you pay a percentage of your treatments, or how does that work?
I pay $400 a month for my treatment room, and then $100 for the office space.
Okay.
Because he has a countertop like office space niche thing that I asked him if I could use, and so I pay $100 for that, so that in between patients I can be studying, I can be marketing, I can be doing a lot of stuff. So I have a setup very similar to the one that we had in the front office at St. John Clark.
Oh, nice.
As far as office space goes, in addition to my treatment room that they just weren't using.
What are your typical hours there?
9:30 to about 6 on Mondays and Tuesdays, and then I have Wednesday that I take for my administrative day. So to catch up on marketing, business, Charles gone to Cedar Rapids to talk to the Cobbler, to try to go and make connections with people or whatever else I need to do, or to study, because I'm studying for a lot of other things too.
Mm-hmm.
And then Thursdays and Fridays, it's from 9:30 to 7.
Okay.
And so I think I take a half an hour in between each patient.
Oh,
So I've got 6
nice.
spots available on Mondays and Tuesdays and 7 spots available on Thursdays and Fridays. And I just work straight through. But a half an hour in between people, I just found that I needed that. I really
Mm-hmm.
needed, because I need to turn over my room. I have to, make sure that my laundry is all sorted. I have to do all of that stuff. And I have to spend adequate time with each patient after their appointment, before their appointment, getting things set up, take a minute to go to the bathroom, take a minute to breathe, take a minute
Right.
to, have a bite to eat, whatever, all of that. So I have a little mini fridge in my office space, and there's the, so I can just have a bite here and there, because I don't set aside a time for lunch either. So, yeah, that works out really well for me. And then having Wednesdays too, if I need to rest that day, that's what I get to do. So I
Yeah.
have 26, I think, spots available during the week. I just try to concentrate them on 4 days.
Mm-hmm. And did you buy like a bunch of gowns, or what do you have people wear for your sessions?
I bought some shorts, like cotton, like jersey cotton shorts on Google, in various different sizes, and I sewed the pockets shut and cut them out. And they're really awesome, actually. They don't have that extra layer, it's just one layer. And then I bought the gowns that St. John Park uses. I bought 12 of them. You have to buy at least 12. So I just bought 12 to start off with. And I'm actually really needing more now, because there's one size that I just cannot, like, I have to do laundry almost every day to keep that one size going. I didn't know what I was going to need for sizes. So
Yeah.
I did the same thing with shorts. I bought way too many of one size, because there's one size that I haven't even used yet. And then there's another size that are, I can't keep enough of them. I have to do laundry all the time.
And what are your most popular sizes?
The small, medium size in the gown top, and then the medium shorts.
Okay.
These ran a little bit bigger than I was expecting them to.
Yeah. Okay.
But they ended up working out really nicely. And they're shorter than the shorts that come from the place that St. John Park uses. Health
Nice.
Gear, I think it's called. And I just used the same bottoms for men and women. And I didn't want to make the men wear those bottoms, because while they're functional for them, I just didn't think they'd be real comfortable in those kinds of shorts.
Uh-huh. Let's see. So you mentioned marketing. What have you been doing in way of marketing?
There's a small business assistance place. I can't even remember what it's called, at the local university. I'm within 15 minutes of UNI.
Oh, nice.
So I went there, and it's free services, kind of getting you started. Mostly what I've done for marketing at this point, is very little. I have business cards. I found a friend from my theater had a friend who works with him who is a graphic designer. So she designed me some really awesome business cards, and she trades me treatment.
Oh, nice.
So she's also making me brochures, and I'm going to make a couple of handouts for like individual pathology. So she's designing those with me, and she's accepting treatment as payment. So that works out really nicely.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. I talked with a few people. I had this chiropractor, and then I have an OBGYN who I did a lot of, she was a integrative health care practitioner. She got certified in that. So when I had Lyme, I treated with her a lot. So I've been talking with her and her assistant about what I can do for pregnancy and pre and perinatal care, and infertility, possibly to some extent, and a lot of that, just general pelvic pain that they have with women, and a lot of that stuff. There's a couple people that I worked with here when I was sick that I've been just kind of touching base with again. Mostly that's been all I've been doing at this point. I need to do some Facebook stuff, but I haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
I've been
Well,
too
go
busy
ahead.
doing other things.
Yeah. So I'd like to get into that. It sounds like I want to hear about this methylation thing, and then the other trainings that you're interested in or currently involved in.
Okay. So the holistic methylation, the methylation cycle is, it includes the Krebs cycle. So if that makes your head spin already, that's just one of the parts of the methylation cycle. So basically it is how your body turns your food into energy and then takes that energy and uses it to detoxify, to heal, and to regenerate and clean out old cells. So that's the methylation cycle in a nutshell. That includes all the different pathways, and there's like 6 different ones. So I found somebody, and I knew that this was a big issue. It's just, to this point, there's not, it's not simple. It's never simple.
Mm-hmm.
You have a bunch of people who have studied these. They're called the breaks in the methylation pathway are called SNPs.
Okay.
So what that basically means is there's an enzyme that creates a bridge between each of the steps in the methylation cycle. And so when that's broken, it's called a SNP. So what we do is we will muscle test this person for the enzyme that makes that particular bridge work. And if they have an adverse reaction to the enzyme, then that tells us that they have a problem with that SNP.
Oh, okay.
So then what we use is very basic nutritional supplements that have been studied to support that SNP, that enzyme, that production of that enzyme, and we muscle test them until they have a strong muscle response while still touching that enzyme, and whatever nutrition that they end up needing. It can be molybdenum, it can be CoQ10, it can be vitamin D, A, it can be, I'm trying to think of some of the other ones that we use. There's a huge list of supplements, and you get this chart that basically says if they're weak on this one, then you test them out on this list of supplements until they get strong. And sometimes you have to use different combinations of things to get them strong. The thing about it is you always have to clear. When you're looking at the chart on a piece of paper, you have to clear from left to right. What a lot of people do is you've heard of MTHFR. You know, that's always the one that people talk about is MTHFR.
Mm-hmm.
Well, MTHFR is like 3rd or 4th in the cycle. So if you start with MTHFR, which is activated B vitamins, you can make people really, really sick because you haven't given them their energy and detox cycles yet. You haven't gotten those working. So then they're just dumping out a whole bunch of these. They'll oftentimes start dumping heavy metals and various other different toxins because they're pulling them out of their fat, they're pulling them out of their tissues, and then they're not able to get rid of them yet. And then it wipes them out because they were already tired, and now they're even more tired from all these toxins that were safely pocketed in their fat or in various different places, and now they're free floating around in their blood.
Oh, okay. So
you have to treat it in order, and she has very carefully honed out an order of which you do this. And then she studied with a cardiologist geneticist. I don't know what his official title is. So there's a cardio one, there's an allergy kit, there's a hormones kit, there's a emotional component too. So we'll sometimes use, I believe it's called TRT. I think TRT is one of them. And then there's another one called EFT, I believe, tapping, to try to clear emotional blocks that can sometimes have problems.
Yeah, emotional freedom technique. I've been playing with that a little bit myself. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I've actually been playing with that a lot, and having really good success with it. You just have to stumble across the right thing. But so then there's that, and then there's the advanced methylation and the basic methylation, and then the general nutrition kit. So we have to go through like 7 or 8 of these different kits in a protocol to try basically what we're trying to do is determine an exact individualized multivitamin that supports this person at the genetic level, not just at the symptomatic level. So it's really cool stuff.
Yeah.
How what you would have had to do before that? I had a really bad breakup. So I came across this book called The Emotion Code while I was in my post-breakup phase, looking for, all of these. I was reading, I was listening to a book called The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown.
Yeah.
And then in my suggestions underneath of that book, I came across this book called The Emotion Code, which is also really cool stuff. But when I was looking up emotion code and body code practitioners, I came across this one who does holistic methylation. And then that just started me down this whole rabbit hole of trying to get certified in all of the things. And you know how I am. I can't just do one thing at a time. I have to do 7.
Right.
But that's how I do my thing. But
that's what makes you an awesome therapist. Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I came across it. And previously, before this was even an option, I've done methylation stuff before and always gotten so sick, because what the process was is if you had methylation issues, you would get this genetic test done, and then you'd run it through an MTHFR support or some other kind of a Promethease or a genetic genie or some kind of filter. And then you'd come out with this 75-page report or whatever of all these different SNPs that you have. And then you talk on the phone for 3 hours with someone who has studied all those SNPs and says, okay, so you have this SNP. So if you're having problems with this SNP, you might be having these symptoms. So if you're having these symptoms, you might try these supplements. And if that doesn't work, you can try this. And the thing about it is these two SNPs, they kind of conflict with each other. So then you really need to deal with this one first, but this one might actually neutralize this one. So it's a very confusing process.
Yeah.
So it was just a headache. And so I kind of had given up on it, but I knew that there was a big component of it that was a problem. So I stumbled across this when I was looking into some emotional work, some emotional energetic work. And it simplified it so much. And you really have to be cautious as a muscle tester.
Yeah.
You have to be very aware that the patient is focused on what you're doing. And you have to be very, very cognizant that your intention is pure and that your intention is to help this person and not go into it with any kind of I guess you could say blocks. Don't go in it with any preconceived ideas of what you think is going on. You have to be completely open to what their body tells you.
Sounds like it's super subtle work.
It's a very subtle work. So going from NST to this has been taxing. You have to get really good with the soft touch part. And so that has actually been the hardest part. The hardest part hasn't been the understanding it intellectually for me. It's been getting the muscle testing touch. So what I've been doing a lot is I've gotten pretty good at self muscle testing, and I can do it with one hand. A lot of people, they use two hands or a two-handed technique to self muscle test or a sway test or something like that. So I've gotten to a point where I can use a one hand self muscle test. So sometimes if I'm really having trouble with the person, I've gotten familiar enough with what a yes and a no feels like on me that I will just lay my hand on them, and then it works kind of like an electrical circuit. So they're still doing all the hand gestures and things that I need them to do. And I'm still touching on them in places where I need, on the acupressure points and things like that I need to get the information. And they're still touching the vials and all of that stuff. But I'm the one who's doing the muscle testing. So it's like I'm catching their energy through me. Yeah, and I don't do that often. But if there's a person who I'm just really having a hard time getting a good read on, I will do that, and it's that way. It's more accurate than not being clear on the read I'm getting on them.
Yeah.
But I've had very little problem with it being inaccurate, actually. I was working with a girl who's not a whole lot older than me, so she's in her early 30s, who basically has osteoporosis already.
Oh man.
She was running a marathon, and she broke her hip running.
Holy cow.
And so I started her on this protocol, and now she's like, I do not want to get off of these ever. Because I was like, okay, well, maybe you can take a couple days and we'll retest you and see how you're going. And I'm really excited because in October, she's going to get her new bone density results. I'm excited to see what that looks like, because I think that there's going to be a change. She said, like, I can just tell there's a huge change in like my energy and my brain fog and stuff like that. It's like, I just feel like I'm on it all the time. And when I'm tired, it's because I physically, I don't start getting tired until like 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And this woman gets up at like 5:30 in the morning. So it's like, wow, that's like Energizer Bunny. Like, I don't think, that's just your body saying, okay, you've done enough. So,
Yeah. Like,
that's not fatigue. That's okay. You need to rest now. But she's like, I will not take a couple days off. Like, I do not want to take a couple days off. I don't want my allergies to come back. I don't want to go back to feeling crappy again. Like, she's hooked on this supplement program.
man,
and it made a huge difference for me.
Uh-huh. I'm so curious about that. Tim and I are probably going to move back next spring, like around March or April. So I'll have to come and check that out. Cause one of the practitioners I've gotten the best results with is a nurse practitioner, or she was a nurse practitioner, became a chiropractor. And then, cause she's like, I don't ever see anybody get better when she's a nurse practitioner. So that's why she got into chiropractic. And then from there, she got into muscle testing. So I worked with her back in Iowa and had really good results. And then I came down here and I found her again. She had moved to Austin, Texas, and got a hold of her. And now we work together through telemedicine, and she muscle tests me over the phone. And she doesn't.
That's what we do with body code and motion code. That's crazy, right?
Yeah. And it's like, I know it sounds like a little far-fetched, but I always feel so much better after talking to her and having her like do her clearing or whatever it is that she does. So I'm like, I don't know how it works, but it does.
But I've been doing it. It's the whole quantum physics thing that I've been investigating, and it's really cool. But no, that's what I've been doing as well with the body code and emotion code and T3. That can be done remotely. And like, I've had more changes with that stuff than I've had in years of even alternative medicine.
Yeah, it makes so much sense.
I can feel such a change. So I'm just like really excited. It's so funny to be going from being a neurosomatic therapist to like really getting into some of this energy work. And it's not just like this woo-woo, I'm just going to run my hands over you and clear your energy. It's like, no, I'm muscle testing you and your body's telling me what you need me to do. And then I'm either using supplements to give you what you need, or I'm using a magnet. And, there's been magnet studies done on all kinds of things. And you're using a magnet on the governing meridian, which connects to all the other meridians in your body. So it's almost like magnetically pulling that energy out. And it sounds crazy, but even like bacteria, funguses, any kind of infection, any kind of trauma, all of that leaves like an energy residue that has to be pulled out. And it's amazing the kind of results you start getting with people when that happens. Like, I've had people where I cannot get this pain they're having to go away, or I cannot get this muscle to relax. And I'll say, okay, well, can I do a little bit of emotion code on you just to see if we can get this out of the way? I feel like there might be a trapped emotion here. And all of a sudden they're like, what did you do? Like, I just released a trapped emotion and now I can get my NST work done.
Wow.
So it's really cool.
Man, gives me chills. It's so interesting. I recently had an embodiment coaching session with a woman who she was the host of Liberated Body podcast. So amazing woman. And she's interviewed therapists from all over the world through the Liberated Body podcast. And now she does embodied coaching, which is basically like a guided meditation, and you meet with her over Zoom. And she said that she gets better results doing this embodied coaching than she does with Rolfing now. And like, like Rolfing is a super sophisticated form of body work.
It is, yeah.
And just
I'm actually having some of the same results.
It's crazy.
There's so many people where I'm finding that NST works amazingly when the problem is structural. But so many people are coming in and their problem's not only structural.
Yeah.
And I'm still getting good results with NST, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But with what I've been through with my illness and my health journey, I just want to do so much more than help people with pain in their structure. And even just structural alignment. And I'm finding that there's a lot of emotional and cognitive stuff that's not stuff that I have to even know. The thing about the beauty of it is I don't have to know any details. They don't have to tell me anything. I'm not treading on any kind of psychology. Like they don't have to tell me anything in order for this to work. That's awesome. This is something that you can do over email. They don't even have to be on the phone with you. You don't have to give them any details. So it's so cool how that works.
Yes.
And there's no cross lines as far as
like scope of practice,
scope of practice, stuff like that. This is well within the scope of practice. So that's what makes it so cool. And the same thing with the tapping.
Uh-huh.
I found this lady her name is Brittany Watkins, and she focuses on seven different emotional blocks to weight loss and stuff like that, and how to release those. And I was trying it just because I was curious, and she does this special work on food cravings. And so she's like, take this food that you absolutely cannot control yourself around. Like if it's in the house, you will eat it.
Mm-hmm.
And rate your craving on a scale of 1 to 10. I was like, okay, or on 0 to 10. I was like, okay, this is a freaking 10. And so I went through the process, and by the time I was done, it was a 0. And I still have it in my house, and I don't want it.
That's crazy. What's her name?
And that's all with tapping.
Brittany Watkins. Oh, I'm going to have to check that out.
No, and that's all with tapping. So it's like her specialty is emotional eating. Mm-hmm. So she helps people with weight loss by helping them change their relationship to food. And that's always such a shame-based thing. Mm-hmm. And there's so much more to it that I'm finding that's really cool. So while I'm still practicing NST for many, and I still think that it has a very strong place in my future, mm-hmm. I'm finding that right now I'm focusing a little bit more on some emotional, cognitive, neural reprogramming kind of stuff, mm-hmm. some more subtle work and some nutrition.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, and just from my own personal experience too, I see I've only been practicing for 6 months, but I've already been seeing a lot of chronic pain patients, and it's like you can tell there's a lot more going on underneath the surface besides like a tight sternalis or something like that, but it's like, I know something's there, but I don't know how to help it yet. So that's encouraging.
And that was always so frustrating to me, because I knew from personal experience, it's like I was attracting people who were like me.
Yeah.
I was attracting people who had problems like I had. And I was like, okay, I can help you, but there's something else going on here. And I was always so frustrated that it's like, I can't do more. So while I'm not a doctor, while I have no desire to do any of that, I feel like I'm starting to get to a point where I can give them more of that kind of help. Mm-hmm. And cool. It's so cool.
Well, I will definitely be talking to you more about this down the road.
Okay, sounds good. Sorry, I took up so much more of your time. I get going on this stuff, and it's hard to shut me up.
No,
my family has been making fun of me because I just talk about it so much, and I'm so excited, and so just like can't stop talking about it.
No, I appreciate it, because it gives me hope too, because I still feel like when I look at somebody's structure, I still feel like I'm still not seeing exactly what's there for me to see. And so I find hope in knowing that there's other ways to help people if I'm not understanding their structural issues 100%, it's like.
Yeah. And I will say that I didn't start having any of this other stuff come into my life mm-hmm. until I was really, really clear on the structure and mm-hmm. what was happening. And mm-hmm. there's a lot of ways where I'm even clearer now, having looked at some of these alternative things on structural matters. Uh-huh. But I didn't start getting any other opportunities until I really mastered the structural component of things.
Yeah, I
mastered as much as you can in, what has it been now? 4.5 years. Mm-hmm. Mastered as much as you can in 4.5 years. But I feel like now I have a really good idea of what's going on structurally. Uh-huh. And that's when a lot of this other stuff started coming in, where it's like, okay, I'm really good at NST. Mm-hmm. Why is this not working for me? And then some of this other stuff started coming into my life. But I had to get really good at NST first.
Mm-hmm. It's all part of that journey.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I just want to do a quick little recap before I let you go. So the information you provided about how to set up your practice and how to partner with other healthcare professionals, very, very helpful. And just like the details about setting up Massage Book and how to do the pricing and stuff, all that was so helpful, especially for people like me who are wanting to start off on their own within the next year or so. And then super interesting, your journey into more of the energetic side and emotional side and how that impacts pain too. So mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing all the stuff that you have been learning with us and what has worked well for you in this transition. I really appreciate that, Alta.
You're so welcome. Thank you for asking.
Yeah. And I will be talking to you soon.
All right. Sounds good, Heather. Bye.
All right. Bye.